son. Where'd you find this?
Just do it! Make your dreams come true!
A few moments later.
You are now listening to Podcast 42, the world's most popular, inaccurate, and sometimes squirreled retelling of pop culture history.
What? No, go ahead. What's your theory?
My theory is that, okay, most of the mainstream public...
And on that note, it's time for Podcast 42. Now go ahead.
Across the globe, hate the prequel trilogy.
Of Star Wars.
Right, of Star Wars. I feel like that's unnecessary.
That's the whole theory?
I think that's more of a fact than a theory.
Hold on.
Here,
okay.
hold on.
However,
My beer. I need this.
Nicole loves the prequel trilogy. She
doesn't know any better.
She
Love
enjoyed
is a strong word.
the prequels more than I've seen anyone else ever enjoy a movie.
Okay.
Her reactions to things that happened in Episode 1, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith were nothing short of jaw-dropping. Okay. And it made me think that George Lucas didn't write this for the mainstream public. He wrote these movies for Nicole.
Just Nicole?
Just Nicole. Just to bring Nicole into the Star Wars fold.
So
because I've never once seen anyone enjoy a movie the way Nicole enjoyed the prequel trilogy. She was
any
physically
movie or
into
just
them.
any of the prequel movies?
No, just like
any of the prequel
Even
movies.
more so than the childhood joy you had when you watched Episode 4.
I mean, I didn't see myself watch it,
but I'm sure you had a.
She was. Okay. Maybe we can narrow it down to just the prequel trilogy. That's fair.
All right, well, I'm going to cut you off there because it's time for Podcast 42.
Yay!
We can discuss more of Nicole on a live show.
Oh,
I didn't realize
wonderful.
that theory was going to be so long and then have such a disappointing ending.
So drawn out.
Who are you, by the way?
Me?
Yes.
I'm Faraz. Hey.
Prince. I'm Christopher DeVos.
I'm Nicole Fasone.
I'm JL Tros.
And we're like 17 minutes into the show, so we should probably open the beer cooler.
Yay.
I already did.
JL beer cooler, it's cooler than you think. JL beer cooler, it's cool enough to drink. It's cool enough to drink, yeah.
What's in it?
What's in it? Oh, man, what's in it today? Red Cypress Brewery Spook Hill. Nice pale ale, 5% ABV. I mainly got it because I thought Chris would like the label, and it fits the theme.
Definitely a 6 on the label.
Wow. He likes the label.
I love the label. And Red Cypress Brewery is here in Orlando, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Not bad.
So, well, save it for the end.
Did I say anything specific? I just said not bad.
That's
Stop yelling at me.
That's giving away a lot.
It's not. It's not.
Okay. Well, what are we talking about today?
The Twilight Zone. And not the Golden Earring song.
Well, we always start with the pop quiz.
That's right. Everybody's got their notepads? Yes? Pens?
no.
Yes.
Yes, I plan on getting all these wrong, even though I picked this episode.
So, this pop quiz is called Thank Goodness for This Show, or No One Would Know Who Golden Earring Is.
Yes!
Or Why I Run Every Time Rod Serling Enters the Room with a Grimace.
And a cigarette in his hand.
It's going to be 5 general facts on the Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone, not the movie, not the, was it the 80s reboot where they did it in the 80s?
Or the early 2000s reboot.
Not Night Gallery.
Yeah, no,
the
not
original.
Night Gallery, which was...
What about the Tower?
Twilight
Not
Zone.
the Outer Limits.
Not the Outer Limits, not the ride.
Not the ride.
The
that
original
they also made
show.
a movie for.
They did. That was an okay movie.
Yeah, it's one of the better Steve Guttenberg movies.
What?
The Tower of Terror.
They made that into a movie?
Yeah.
With Steve Guttenberg
totally
and
missed
Kirsten
it.
Dunst.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold on.
that's right, it was
so is
Kirsten
this like
Dunst.
one of the newer movies, like what they did
No,
after?
it came out
I'll
in the
look-
late 90s.
Yeah, look what
Oh, okay.
year it was.
So
Made
was-
for Disney Channel movie.
All right.
No, it
the-
wasn't Disney Channel.
Yeah, it was.
No, it was the ABC family movies or whatever they did for their movies on the weekend. It was not Disney Channel.
Isn't that the same thing, though?
No, it's
basically?
not the same thing.
You sure about that?
Yes.
Well, you can look that up and
I
let me know
will.
later. But
All
I
right.
just remember watching it on the Disney Channel.
Wonderful World of Disney. That's what
is-
it was.
No,
It
okay.
is not the Disney Channel.
All right, so that was ABC. All right, this is 5 questions from easiest to hardest to test your knowledge. Score 1 point for each correct answer. Blah.
That was a tough one.
Spook Hill is making my mouth not work. Who does the opening monologue for every original Twilight Zone episode? Who does the opening monologue for every episode of the original Twilight Zone? I see hesitation from Nicole. This is the easiest of all questions.
I know you just said his name, but I don't remember, so I'm going to put a funny answer. Frost, do you know his name?
Yes.
Everybody knows his
Okay.
name.
Well, I don't.
Everyone knows his name.
Well, not me.
Where everybody knows his name.
Question 2. How many seasons of the original Twilight Zone were there? How many seasons? Nicole only watched 2 shows, so she knows there's
Out
at
of
least
all
one
the seasons.
season.
Hold on. Are we counting after cancellation or no?
No.
Because are we talking about consecutive without any breaks?
No.
So just
Yes.
consecutive, no breaks.
No, there could be breaks. The original Twilight Zone
Okay.
with breaks. How many seasons?
You know, most
With
of the
what's his
Tower of
face at the
Terror
helm.
movie was filmed at Hollywood
If that
Studios.
helps. I can't say his name.
Did you know that?
'Cause it'll give
You're
it
right,
away.
yeah.
Well, the ride is there.
My
so I would hope
numbers
that
might
they'd
be
film it.
one off.
I know.
Okay.
But they didn't build an extra set or anything.
No, we don't need a soundstage for that.
Question number 3. What actor portrays Bob Wilson in Nightmare at 20,000 feet? That's the number. 20,000 feet. Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Who was the actor? Played the main guy. Don't be looking it up on your phone.
I'm not. I'm closing out the stuff on my phone.
Don't be cheating looking at my
Trust
answers.
me, when you hear my answers, you'll know I didn't cheat.
Okay. Question 4. In the episode To Serve Man, why are the aliens so nice to the Earthlings? They're just so nice to us, Earthlings. Why? Why? Most aliens are mean to us. They blow us up. And then we have to implant viruses into their spaceship. But not these aliens. They were super nice. Why? And then question 5. Which Twilight Zone episode was a winner at the Cannes Film Festival in 1962? This episode won 1962 Twilight Zone. You know the theme song. I'm so proud of you.
I hear it on the ride. That's not too much of a revelation.
All right, pencils down.
Pens.
Same thing.
Writing utensils down. Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm just.
Who does the opening monologue for every Twilight Zone episode? Everyone in the world but Nicole. Nicole knows this answer. It is
Rod
Serling.
Nicole, what did you put?
A ghost.
A ghost?
The answer is right in front of you.
I'm not going to cheat.
How many seasons of the original Twilight Zone were there, Faraz?
I have 4.
Close.
It was 5.
It was 5.
Oh, I had 7.
7?
I
Nope.
put 3.
3? No. You should have just put 2 episodes. That's all they did. What actor portrays Bob Wilson in Nightmare at 20,000 feet? Nicole.
Bob Wilson.
Bob Wilson plays Bob Wilson.
Wow.
I said I'm not cheating. You'll know by my answer.
How
you should have
original.
really watched that episode.
JL?
William Shatner.
Faraz?
I have Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger? You wrote the script. You wrote half the script. William Shatner is correct. It's a very famous episode, and they remade it in the movie.
With John Lithgow.
Now, in this very famous episode, To Serve Man, why are the aliens so nice to the Earthlings, Nicole?
Because they're attracted to us.
Yes, that's correct.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Are you serious?
In 1960s, they all had sex on TV with aliens.
You're lying.
I am.
You're lying.
For us?
I was really excited. I thought I got it on a
No,
whim.
not even close. Well, sort of close, depending on your terminology.
I have the Gungans are friendly, welcoming people.
You should have known this as well. JL?
They're nice to us so that way they can lure us to their planet so they can eat us.
That is correct.
That was my second answer. I was going to say
my
so.
second.
No, it was, but then I was like, that's not it. That's too obvious.
And then the last one, which is hard. I don't expect anyone to get it. What Twilight Zone episode was a winner at the Cannes Film Festival in 1962? Nicole?
The Eye of the Beholder.
No. The only episode you watched.
You said it was one of the most famous episodes.
It is one of the most famous
So I
episodes.
figured I'd give it a chance, and that would be my answer.
Faraz?
I have no.
That's the name of the episode, or you just refuse to answer the question?
I wrote no with a period.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question. JL?
I have Eye of the Beholder, but my other thought was kick the can.
No, it's an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge, which is not really a Like, that's not one of the iconic episodes, though.
All right, so
All right.
I lost.
Again.
Well, yeah, we saw that coming. You had Bob Wilson playing Bob Wilson.
Didn't you win the Pokemon quiz?
Yeah, maybe you did win the Pokemon quiz.
I don't know.
I can go
You
back.
should have guessed Brian Wilson playing Bob Wilson. That would have been better.
Or Robert Wilson, because then, technically could have been right.
Or Patrick Wilson. We could just name Wilsons.
Yeah.
Famous Wilsons.
Mr. Wilson played him. He took time away from Dennis the Menace to go play this character.
Oh, that's sad. I was thinking he was the guy behind the fence on Home Improvement for
Oh,
some
that was
reason.
my other one I was thinking too.
Was he a Wilson?
I think so.
Yeah, that Wilson. See, I was right.
So see, you never really saw his face the entire time either while he did all this.
All right, let's get into the script.
That's right. The Twilight Zone is considered by the Writers Guild of America to be among the top 3 best-written TV series of all time, right after The Sopranos and some little-known show called Seinfeld.
Hey, Seinfeld was a very
We
popular
already
show.
did that episode. Let's pass this. We're on a new
No,
one.
everybody, if you haven't listened to the Seinfeld episode, go back and listen to it.
Suddenly, Nicole wakes up.
I know. It's amazing how that happens. TV Guide magazine hails it as one of the best shows ever, better than Seinfeld, though the half science fiction, half horror anthology gathered a dedicated fan base. It was canceled twice, but it was also revived twice and inspired a film by the same name and, of course, a popular theme park attraction,
Now, what was that called?
the Tower of Terror.
Got
Now
it.
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
In Disneyland, not here yet.
Oh, okay.
that's fine. Because the show was created and written by Rod Serling,
Who?
the guy who narrated everything in the opening monologue. A writer determined to challenge the decorums of Hollywood. A soldier in the U.S. Pacific campaign of World War II, Sterling Archer. Serling returned home after the war to finish college. He began writing scripts for radio programs before branching out into the new medium of the time, television. The television industry was still very green in the 1950s and eager to grasp any and all writing talent. So it wasn't with much difficulty that Serling got his scripts, many of which had previously been rejected by radio, picked up for TV.
Right time, right place, baby.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly what happened. Sterling had no shortage of work as a writer for television, but he was often forced to watch as Hollywood executives demanded rewrites of many of his scripts to accommodate network sponsors and the product advertising. Back then, sponsors also worked in the television industry as script editors. Notable instances of this clash with sponsors include his script for Requiem for a Heavyweight Scene, involving one character asking, "Got a match?" The live teleplay was sponsored by Ronson, a producer of lighters. It was forbidden to mention a sponsor's competing product, so the line was removed from the production. Serling also had to deal with censorship. Serving as a soldier during wartime inspired him to become an anti-war activist, but the brutal realities of social injustices also made him passionate about conflicts involving race and gender equality. As many writers do, Serling attempted to include his commentary on issues plaguing society into his work. Unfortunately, such references to social issues was taboo in Hollywood and invited the cutting block of the censors.
Cool.
Whoa.
It's okay to mess
That
up.
was a lot of tongue
was-
twisters you threw into one sentence for yourself
God.
there for us.
I know.
I didn't pick myself for that one.
And he wrote that part. Enraged by Hollywood's tolerance of sponsor editing room privileges and deliberate blind eye to social inequalities, Serling, after jumping a few hurdles, decided to make his own show. Thus was born The Twilight Zone. How's the theme song go? The new show would follow the anthology format popular of New York television programs, but also serve as a means by which Serling could convey his criticisms and social norms behind a mask of science fiction escapism, delivering provocative sentiments as vague themes throughout the show, such as aliens eating people, dun dun dun,
An alien hiding in plain sight while everybody turns on each other.
dun dun dun. Or what's the episode you watched?
The one where the weird-looking people were disgusted by a beautiful woman's face because, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Dun dun dun.
If you wrote these because of, a passion for correcting social wrongs, was Eye of the Beholder really about, segregation and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so, but it was ironic because it wasn't the
She thought
segregation
she
that
didn't
we
fit
know and
the
love.
entire
Right,
time
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, the uglies were
when
in
really
charge.
she looked just like them, and in the end she wasn't because she changed her face.
No, she changed her face because she didn't look like them. They were trying to make her better, and they're like, oh no, she's still ugly.
Yeah, because she didn't look ugly like they did.
Yeah.
But what is ugly?
That's the thing. They're ugly, quote, quote, and she's beautiful. So she tried to make herself ugly, and it didn't work. Therefore, she was still ugly. It's hard to explain.
So is it like a foreshadow of Michael Jackson?
Yes.
Or Sammy Sosa.
Or Mickey Rooney. Or not Mickey Rooney, Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rooney.
Sorry, Rooney. Sorry. I think I've messed those two up many times during the course of 55 episodes.
Me too.
Critics loved it, some calling it the best anthology show of the year. Though Serling didn't actually appear on screen as he would in later seasons, with two exceptions, the episodes The Chaser and A World of His Own. He and his team of Charles Beaumont and Richard Matheson wrote every single episode themselves. These three were responsible for 127 of the 156 episodes during its run, which is just crazy. Though Serling typically remained behind the camera, he did, however, appear in Twilight Zone promotional spots for the following week's episode.
But wasn't he also the person who came in front and was narrating as well? Or was that not in every episode?
Well, that's what I just read.
Said he remained behind the camera and he appeared in promotional spots for the following week's episode.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying is...
This was about the first season, where he didn't do that, but he did it for the remaining seasons. Okay. And that sentence was in there. Okay. But you drifted off. You fell asleep when I was reading?
I didn't fall asleep. I was previewing what I'm going to be reading, so I read it properly.
Did you see the label for the Spook Hill?
Yes. You gave it a 6.
Okay.
It is a really good label.
It says tasting is believing.
Is it?
I don't know, is it?
I think so, but you'll have to find out at the end of the episode.
Dun, dun, dun.
Many of the first season's episodes proved to be among the series' most celebrated, including Time Enough at Last.
You didn't watch it.
About the last book lover on Earth.
That's with Burgess Meredith. It's a great episode.
It is a good episode.
The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, about one neighbor's search for aliens among them.
You didn't watch this one coming up.
Walking Distance, about a man who suddenly visits himself as a little boy again. And The After Hours, wherein one woman discovers where mannequins come from.
You know, I thought you would love these because you like Black Mirror so much.
I do, and I'm sure I'll go back and watch them. I just didn't get to them this week.
I have the whole series.
I believe that. So does Hulu.
Yeah, but it's more fun coming over and drinking new beers with me and watching the series. Faraj, you can come too.
Despite high praise, audiences were divided, a fact reflected in CBS's ratings. Sponsors General Foods and Kimberly-Clark were tempted to simply abandon the show, but the ratings weren't bad enough to warrant abandoning it mid-season. Despite its dubious performance, the first season won Serling his 4th Emmy for writing, a Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation out of the year's science fiction works, a Producers Guild Award for Serling's creative partner, Buck Houghton, and a Directors Guild Award for John Bram. That's a lot of awards.
I know. For something that nobody liked.
Yeah, for something they wanted to cancel.
Bernard Herrmann wrote the original opening theme music that Nicole will continue to do the entire show. For the final 4 episodes of the season, the show's original opening montage and narration was replaced by a piece featuring a blinking eye and shorter narration and another version of Herman's theme.
Truncated.
Oh, that's that word. Oh, I don't know what that means.
Shortened.
You couldn't just say that.
That was me.
Yeah.
To be honest, that was me.
It is funny that he assumed that it was for us.
Well, naturally.
But I like you got the blame. That was nice.
Yeah.
I would have let him keep the blame if I were you. Some first season episodes were only available for decades in a version with a pasted on second season opening. These rethemed episodes were prepared for airing in the summer of 1961 as summer repeats. The producers wanted to have a consistent opening for the show every week. During the original 1959 to 60 run, Herman's theme was used in every first season episode. The second season premiered on September 30th, 1960, with an episode called King 9 Will Not Return, about Captain James Embry's bomber crashing in the desert. This was a fresh take on Serling's pilot episode from the first season called Where is everybody? With this season, Serling himself stepped in front of the cameras to present his opening narration rather than being only an unseen narrator.
Wait a second. Isn't that what I was just talking
No,
about?
not at all.
Yeah.
You asked a different question.
Oh, sorry.
Bernard Herrmann's original theme was replaced by Mary's constant, more jarring, and now more familiar guitar and bongo theme.
What's the new theme? Is Nicole going to play that too?
Ooh, play the bongos, Nicole.
Oh, I don't.
Nope.
No, it was worth a shot.
Yeah. The blinking eye was replaced with a more surreal introduction inspired by the new images in Serling's narration, such as, "That's the signpost up ahead," and Serling himself.
Serling himself.
The writing trio of Serling, Beaumont, and Matheson eventually hired more writers.
Wait a second. Why did you repeat that?
I just felt like it.
Okay.
Why are you yelling at me this
I'm
week?
not yelling. That wasn't a yell. Now you sound like my wife. That was just such an odd thing to repeat. Like, it wasn't, you know how like you repeat something and it's like got some power behind it, but that was just 3 random words.
Well, because you made fun of me when I said Bob Wilson played Bob Wilson. So I was just reiterating that it was Serling himself.
Okay.
Playing Serling,
Exactly.
who was narrating the opening. So he wasn't playing anybody. He was just being himself.
I think we
Which
need
Bob
liquor
Wilson
for
could have
this
done.
show and not just beer today.
If Serling is playing Serling himself.
I don't know who this Sterling is, but
I
Serling
said
was
Serling.
not.
I did not say
There was
Sterling.
a typo, though. Not mine.
Serling himself is the name of my rock and roll band. Anyway, for us.
Anyway, Serling and his friends decided to hire more writers, including
That was their first album.
Serling and his writers,
Sterling and his friends.
You mean Serling.
including George Clayton Johnson. Johnson would go on to write Logan's Run, Star Trek, and Ocean's 11.
I love that movie.
The original or the remake?
Which one are you talking about?
Oh, whoops.
Like George
Okay.
Clooney or
Or Sinatra?
George Clooney.
Brad Pitt,
Brad Pitt,
obviously.
Oh, not Sammy Davis.
was that Norton in that one? No, right?
We try not to think about Ed Norton.
I used to like him. He became such a douche, though.
No, I think he always was one.
Oh,
He wasn't
know
in
what?
that movie, was he?
No.
Okay.
I just
You're
found
thinking
out.
the Italian Job, I think,
I just found out that
which is starring a great actor named Jason Statham and a lesser-known but equally as talented actor in Seth Green.
Oh, I just found out Tobey Maguire was a jerk. I had no idea.
Like a real big jerk.
Oh, you didn't know?
No, he was my Spider-Man.
Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Tom Holland is a better Spider-Man.
Yes, he is.
Well, now that I know Tobey Maguire is not the hero I thought he was.
Nope.
I
The
have to
He
agree.
was
Green
more of the
screen-
Spider-Man 3-1, and he wasn't acting.
He was
Just with
described
less
as a
pointing.
green screen jerk. Remember? That was the phrase.
And he rode a horse off into the sunset,
Anyway,
never to make a movie again.
the addition of new writers wasn't the only change to the show. A new network executive stepped behind the reins of CBS, James Aubrey. The new executive was notoriously stern, especially towards The Twilight Zone, a show that repeatedly went over budget.
I think you're reading more angry after this whole Tobey Maguire thing.
Yeah.
I think he's just mad at James Aubrey.
Yeah, look at him. He's a douche.
Like Tobey Maguire.
To Serling's bitter dismay, Aubrey ordered fewer episodes for the newer season, and 5 weeks into season 2, demanded that a handful of episodes were shot with videotape instead of superior film.
That's crap.
Yeah, because then they have to just use the one shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a move that didn't sit well with Serling, who called it neither fish nor fowl.
Oh, what a potty mouth.
What does it mean?
I was just about to ask.
Are we going to know what that means?
I will
Do we not
look it
know?
up.
Maybe it's in our fishbowl of facts.
This is why I didn't include that, but then you put it back in. I was like, well,
I don't
maybe
know.
he knows what this means.
It was a quote. And
It was a quote, but it was a quote none of us
Hold
like
on.
could answer.
It was a quote unquote.
Oh, God.
Okay, hold on.
well played.
It says neither fish nor fowl. Something or someone which is not easily categorized. Something or someone that does not rightly belong or fit well in a given group or situation.
Like Batman.
Like the videotape to the superior film.
Okay.
JL's dying.
Are you really comparing that quote to Batman?
He compares everything to Batman. Haven't you learned that? He told me, when I made him watch Caddyshack, he told me, I'm quitting halfway through and I'm going to watch the superior film, comedic film, Batman.
I didn't
No,
say
no, no,
comedic.
no.
I just said their
The
dialogue
Dark
was
Knight.
weird.
He did say The Dark Knight, not even Batman.
Videotape was a relatively primitive medium in the early 60s, as it was next to impossible to edit. Each of these episodes was shot like it was live TV on a studio soundstage, using a total of 4 cameras. That seems like it sucked.
We'll try it one week for a live podcast.
The multi-camera setup of the videotape experiment made location shooting difficult, severely limiting the storylines. Even with those artistic sacrifices, the eventual savings only amounted to $6,000 per episode, far less than the cost of a single episode. The experiment was not attempted again.
That's neither fish nor fowl.
I'm not drinking enough water for this.
Because you're not fish or fowl.
That's right. The 2 additional episodes filmed in the 2nd season, The Grave and Nothing in the Dark, were pushed over into the 3rd season. In spite of backstage conflict, Season 2 would go on to produce a number of the show's most iconic episodes, including Nick of Time with William Shatner, The Invaders, which is one of my favorite episodes.
Isn't that one with Charles Bronson, too?
The Invaders?
Yeah, where the little Martians are...
If he's in there...
Or is Invaders the one where it's the small Martians that are terrorizing the one woman?
Yes.
Okay.
Except, spoiler alert, they're not Martians.
Correct. But like when you read the description of it before you go through the whole episode, she thinks they are Martians.
Yes. And she's the Martian. Will the real Martian please stand up? That's a different episode than what we just talked about.
Yep.
And the thought-provoking... What, Nicole?
Eye of the Beholder.
Yes, your favorite episode.
The only episode she's seen.
No, I watched 2 ones. Wasn't The Nick of Time the second one that I watched?
It's a great episode.
I
William
don't know.
Shatner's in it.
Was that the one that was right after it? Because that's the one that I watched.
I don't know.
It was the one with William Shatner.
Was it? Well, it didn't look like him.
Well,
It
yeah,
was
he
like-
was young.
yeah.
And in black and white.
I did not recognize that. That
It
was
was like his Star Trek years.
He wasn't wearing a girdle.
Pre-Star Trek
No,
years.
it was
Whoa.
way before Star Trek.
Yeah.
That's for certain. But no, I did not even know.
It was him fresh out of Canada.
I
Yeah.
didn't know until just now that was him. That's crazy. I'm gonna look at the pictures now.
Okay.
It opened with him, didn't it?
You look at the
It
pictures.
did, but it doesn't look like him the way I know William Shatner.
He
That's
delivers
the
his
problem.
lines the same way he's
Exactly.
been delivering lines for 50 years.
I haven't watched him in anything.
It's the Nick of Time.
Do you want to? You guys are gonna be
Here,
so. If I
come
tell
watch me as we debate what happens,
gentlemen,
with this ambulance tonight on this episode of Rescue
gentlemen,
911.
if I tell you what I most recognize William Shatner from, you are going to never let me be on this podcast again.
What do you
Now
recognize
you have to
William
tell
Shatner
us.
Is it
from?
porn?
No, it's not from.
Because I'm debating whether I should drink while you tell me this or wait until after.
I don't know. It'd be kind of funny if you drink while I tell you
No,
this.
because I will spit all over you.
Miss Congeniality.
Oh, Jill, you should not have drank.
Seriously?
Yes.
That's
Which is
awesome.
a fun movie, but still, come on.
Well,
He should be Alfred.
Michael Caine was Alfred, and he was also in Miss Congeniality.
he was. It's Sir
I've
Michael
never
Caine.
seen that.
Yeah, but Michael Caine's in everything.
He is.
You've never seen
So
it?
is Morgan
babe,
Freeman.
Babe, we're going to watch Miss Congeniality.
Oh, you are in so much fun tonight.
Oh, just don't watch the second one.
No, you don't have to watch the second one. I
Bring
won't
your
make you watch it.
phone. You're going to need it.
No,
Yeah.
no.
And right after, you're going to watch Legally Blonde.
No, I don't.
2.
No.
Ooh.
No.
Ow.
Miss Congeniality, and I'll
Followed
find
by
something else.
The Notebook.
You know, to be fair.
I've never seen The Notebook.
Oh, your ass is in trouble now. You should have never said
Babe,
that.
guess what we're doing tonight? Double
Babe.
feature, Miss Congeniality, followed by
And
The Notebook.
The Notebook.
No,
Snuggle time.
Popcorn.
I don't eat popcorn.
neither do I.
Pretzels.
Somebody get the Jiffy Pop.
No.
'Cause something's going to be popping on the couch tonight.
That's right, The Notebook.
I made him watch a movie last night, and he actually enjoyed it.
It was
What
written
was
by
it?
Aaron Sorkin, though.
Fast
So,
and
I
the
mean,
Furious
that's kind of-
4.
No.
Oh, Fast and the Furious 5.
No.
What was it?
You can't really go wrong with Sorkin's work.
It was Molly's Game, based on the poker princess Molly Bloom, who ran
Isn't
the...
that what Holly Hunter?
No,
then I
Jessica
don't know it.
Chastain.
Who?
Jessica Chastain.
Who?
But that's the story that made me
And
learn that
Idris
Tobey
Elba?
Maguire sucks.
Oh!
There you go. Yeah, that name you recognize.
Yeah, because he's awesome.
And John,
Oh, who was it? Idris Elba? Is
Judge
that-
Judy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he was really good in it.
He's always
Judge
good whenever
Reinhold.
he's in.
no, the guy
What about
from
Dark
Judge
Tower?
Reinhold
the
was
guy,
in it?
no, the guy from Superbad, the geeky guy.
That doesn't narrow
Sarah.
it down there.
Right? Yeah,
Sarah?
Michael Cera.
Ooh, you lost me already.
Well,
Mike-
hold on. He's
no.
playing Tobey Maguire
He
in the
plays
movie.
Tobey Maguire, who you find out is an actual jerk.
So he
Because
knew
of-
this. He
Yes.
totally fits like a Tobey Maguire.
And can we go back to the Twilight Zone?
All right, the second season won Serling his 5th Emmy for writing, another Hugo Award, and the Unity Award for outstanding contributions towards better race relations.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was an undeniable success for Serling, who had created the show to comment on and criticize social injustices, as we said before.
Which Donald Glover is going to get really into that. Or, sorry, say, Childish Gambino. Go on.
What? What the hell just
Oh,
happened?
she just saw the video for This Is America.
Current events is what I was just dropping. But go on. We
What's
don't have
he doing?
to talk about
What
it.
is-
We
Donald
will.
Glover is Lando, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is he doing?
Oh,
then?
we'll talk about it later.
He
Don't you
sings,
worry.
too.
I'll tell you later.
We'll watch the video after the show.
Yes. I watched it.
Nonetheless came season 3. Serling was tired because the man writes every show. During the bulk of the writing for an anthology series was nothing short of exhausting, and Serling was drained of new ideas. Though he was all but spent, Serling still contributed his writing abilities to over half of the season's scripts.
That must suck.
It would have sucked. One episode, I Sing the Body Electric, was contributed by sci-fi writer Ray Bradbury. By the end of the season, the series had reached over 100 episodes.
Wasn't he also writing Night Gallery at the time, too?
Nope.
That was done and over with, or
It came after.
came after?
Yeah.
Okay.
When you're done listening to this, here is something else you can sink your ear holes into.
Forgive the interruption, but I believe this requires your attention.
If you ever believed Captain America was on the U.S. Olympic soccer team,
If you ever thought that the Winter Soldier was that brace yourselves guy on the internet,
And if you ever wondered just what would a raccoon do with a machine gun,
then don't let another week pass you by without tuning into
Mighty Marvel Geeks.
Mighty Marvel Geeks is your show about all things Marvel.
with news, rumors, commentary, and interviews.
as well as our weekly recommendations on what to pick up on New Comic Book Day.
Official consulting hours are between 8 and 5 every other Thursday.
That's Mighty Marvel Geeks on WeebieGeeks.net, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts.
This is Jack DeVos and Joe Jewett from the Over the Line show on iHeartRadio.
And you're listening to Podcast 42, hosted by What's-His-Face and the Other Guy, featuring the one dude who does that thing.
The Twilight Zone received 2 Emmy nominations for cinematography and art design, but won neither of the awards. It again received the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation, making it the only 3-time recipient until it was tied with Doctor Who in 2008.
Yeah.
What's this big space in the script?
I don't know.
Somebody cut things out.
Wasn't
sure. I'm not the last one that touched the script was not me.
Oh my
I see how it is.
gosh.
You gave her a shorter thing to read.
There's a whole paragraph missing.
There is.
Were you saying I couldn't handle
It's got
reading
white
more?
out. Mine's got white out on it.
Mine too.
Maybe she wanted a long page break for dramatic effect.
Okay. Oh, I'm
Well,
sorry.
obviously, we
After
did not do
Doctor
that.
Who in 2008.
I'm sorry. But it was a long page break. I apologize. All right.
It's okay.
Nobody
Please
talked
go
for 5
on.
minutes. All right, we're going to cut that part out.
The Twilight Zone went into an unexpected hiatus come the following fall season.
Script.
Having taken too long to find a 4th season sponsor. See, that was the unexpected hiatus that we just had.
Oh, that's the missing paragraph.
CBS replaced the show with the comedy Fair Exchange, and Serling took a job as a teacher in Antioch College. Never heard of it.
Nobody else has either.
In November 1962, CBS brought back The Twilight Zone as a mid-season January replacement for the very show that replaced it. Now, in order to fill the Fair Exchange time slot, each episode had to be expanded to an hour, a demand which did not sit well with the production crew. A quote from Serling, "Ours is the perfect half-hour show. If we went to an hour, we'd have to flesh in our stories soap opera style. Viewers could watch 15 minutes without knowing whether they were in the Twilight Zone or Desilu Playhouse."
Which is a show with Desi Arnaz. But why couldn't
But I
they
want
just
to be in
do?
the band.
Why couldn't they just do 2 shows, 2 episodes in one? It'd still be the Twilight Zone. Yeah,
Which-
first half would be one show, second half would be the other show. Done
Later
deal.
on, when they did a reboot, is what they did.
There you go.
Really? Spoiler alert.
They needed me.
Yep. Well, they didn't because they ended up doing it without you.
I was -7 at the time.
7. I was negative a lot.
Well, we're not going to get into that. But Herbert Hirschman was hired to replace longtime producer Buck Houghton One of Hirschman's first decisions was to direct a new opening sequence. This one illustrating a door, eye, window, and other objects suspended in space. His second task was to find and produce quality scripts.
Duh.
Yeah, right? Wow. Priorities there. New opening,
then the scripts. Then the scripts.
Hold on. Still working on the opening.
Yeah. Scripts come later, guys.
Yeah, later. It'll be okay. We'll worry about that when it comes time for the show to actually be
just wing it.
Filmed. This new season was again written mostly by Serling, Matheson, and Beaumont.
Good God.
Oh, hey, this is why Beaumont wrote a book about it.
And what's so impressive is it's not like a regular soap opera where you got every story has a start and a finish. You got in Twilight Zone, you have to have a start and then a roundabout finish. That's what really.
Yeah, you got to have that little twist in there.
Yeah.
Don't worry, there is a new one coming out. M. Night Shyamalan is writing a new Twilight Zone as we speak.
Oh my God,
it'll be amazing.
He's also writing Split 2.
Will it?
Yes.
Did you do Split 1?
Huh?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was great.
Yeah.
We saw it.
But that's his first great movie in like 12 movies.
I would say 20 years. So
I'm still mad about that one in the woods with the blind chick.
The Village.
Oh my God.
Still not as bad as some of his other stuff that he's done.
Really?
Avatar. Last Airbender.
We don't talk about that one. Though Serling's input was limited this time, he still provided the lion's share of the teleplays. His narrations had to be shot back-to-back against a gray background during his infrequent trips to Los Angeles. Due to complications from a developing brain disease, Beaumont's input also began to diminish quite a bit. Well, that just got depressing real quick.
Yeah.
With 5 episodes left in the season, Hirschman received an offer to work on a new NBC series called Espionage, and he was replaced as producer by Burt Granit. Granit's first episode was On Thursday We Leave for Home, which Serling considered the season's best.
Burt Granit sounds like a superhero name.
It does. There was an Emmy nomination for cinematography. That's awesome. And a nomination for the Hugo Award.
Who is Hugo?
Isn't that a Canadian thing?
The Hugo Awards for sci-fi things, like like Frank Herbert's Dune was a big Hugo Award.
Is it
winner.
named after somebody?
I'll look it up.
I don't know who Hugo is. No,
Okay.
I never directly answer your questions.
I didn't know if it's named
I
after
wasn't
somebody.
Going to start now,
or if it. Yeah, you never answer my questions. Or if maybe it stood for something like huge.
No, I think
ultimatum
it's a person.
Going
The Hugo
on.
Awards are named after Hugo Gernsback, a famous
Gernsback.
a famous
That Hugo. There we go.
I thought it was Hugo Weaving.
A famous magazine editor who did much to bring science fiction to a wider audience. Gernsback founded Amazing Stories, the first major American science fiction magazine, in 1926. He is widely credited with sparking a boom in interest in written science fiction.
He's also credited with the term "that's so Gernsback."
Yeah, that's right.
It's not really.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's not used a whole lot. It's neither fish nor fowl.
Serling was later quoted, "I was writing so much, I felt I had begun to lose my perspective on what was good and what was bad. By the end of the final 6... Oh, hold on. Sorry. Unquote. Or is it end quote? By the end of the final 6 season, he had contributed 92 scripts in 5 years. After that, the show returned to its half-hour format. Beaumont was now out of the picture almost entirely, contributing scripts only through the ghostwriters Jerry Soule and John Tarmelin. And after producing only 13 episodes, Burt Granit, who sounds like the secret identity of the Flash in a different Earth 4, left and was replaced by William Frog. Serling had worked with Frog earlier in his career on the show Playhouse 90. Yeah.
It's not Frog, it's Frog.
I would think it's
Froug.
Frog.
Fine. Frog. Made a number of unpopular decisions, as a villain is wont to do. First, he shelved several scripts purchased under Granit's term, including one that was nominated for Writers Guild Award when it was finally produced in 1986 on Amazing Stories.
That must have been the only good episode on Amazing Stories.
Why does Amazing Stories sound so familiar to me?
It was Spielberg, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I think it was. It was a Spielberg anthology TV show that had different stories, not necessarily like in one genre, just all over the place.
This anthology series features unreal fantasy and horror stories a la The Twilight Zone. Each short story was all-inclusive, and many featured famous actors. Steven Spielberg served as executive producer of the show, which aired for 2 seasons on NBC.
What show was this?
Amazing Stories.
Amazing Stories. It wasn't that good. It should have been good.
It wasn't that amazing?
It only had 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing for 2 seasons.
It was okay for 2 seasons. It can't have been that amazing if it only had 2 seasons.
Okay. It was okay. Frog. Alienated George Clayton Johnson when he hired Richard DeRoy to completely rewrite Johnson's teleplay Tick of Time. It makes the plot trivial, said Johnson, of the resulting script. Johnson insisted that I thought that was going to...
Oh, God.
I thought it makes the plot trivial was going to be the name of a Twilight episode.
It makes the plot trivial.
That's what that pause was.
That would be a great episode, though.
That's what I'm thinking. Johnson insisted that he was credited for the final version of the episode as Johnson Smith. Ticket Time became Johnson's final submission to the Twilight Zone. Even under these conditions, several episodes were produced that are well remembered, including Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, or 200,000, or 2,000, as I like to say. The season would receive no Emmy recognition.
Aww.
In late January 1964, CBS announced the show's cancellation. For one reason or another, Jim Aubrey decided he was sick of the show. He claimed that it was far too over budget and that the ratings weren't good enough, explained Frog. This Aubrey, man, he's a numbers cruncher.
Serling had countered by telling the Daily Variety that he had, quote, decided to cancel the network, unquote. Ha! ABC showed interest in bringing the show over to their network under the new name Witches, Warlocks, and Werewolves, but Serling was not having it. Quote, the network...
Are you sure it's a quote?
It says quote.
It doesn't end in a person quote, who says it, right?
You want to bet it doesn't end in a quote? I made sure to add in my own unquote.
It doesn't. I would
like add in unquote.
You did.
Add in an
but who is this quote?
Quote.
Who said it?
Serling.
It doesn't say that. It just says quote.
Well, Serling was not having it. Quote, the network executives seem to prefer weekly ghouls, and we have what appears to be a considerable difference in opinion. I don't mind my show being supernatural, but I don't want to be booked into a graveyard every week. Unquote. Shortly afterwards, Serling sold his 40% share in the Twilight Zone to CBS, leaving the show and all projects involving the supernatural behind until 1969, when his next show debuted, Night Gallery.
The far unsuperior Night Gallery.
And that is...
Unsuperior? Wouldn't it just be inferior?
The Twilight
Yeah,
Zone.
that's what I meant, but I couldn't think of the word. Well, this week's Fishbowl Facts are a little shorter in the number of them because they're longer in the verbiage.
You want to know something else about this week's
long
Fishbowl
verbiage,
Facts?
that's what we need.
They come in a fishbowl.
Now they're in a fishbowl.
And you know why?
Why?
Because JL busted us.
Was it him or me?
It was JL.
I thought you were going to say because your fish died.
No, the fish is still in there swimming around. The pieces of paper are a little soggy. You're going to have to try to figure out what they say.
All right. Well, who's going first?
JL, that's his topic.
I can barely read today anyway.
Let me read
You did all right.
Fish.
But you didn't read like a character like you normally do.
Take that.
Mahalo.
Please. I got to read this soggy piece of paper that's upside down.
You know, this is a lot heavier to pass than the Tupperware bowl we had before.
It's okay.
You know, while recording the opening to the pilot episode in 1959, Serling exclaimed there was a 6th dimension to explore. When a network executive overheard the introduction, he asked Serling what happened to the 5th dimension. Serling assumed there were already 5 dimensions, not 4. Luckily, the mistake was corrected before the episode aired.
They should have just worked for Marvel, then it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, what are the dimensions? Who wants to list them?
There's
Sound, sight, mind. That's
the
3.
Temptations, the Four Tops. I don't know.
The Big Bopper.
Dimension X. That's where Krang came from in the original TMNT.
The Quantum Realm.
I'm surprised you don't know this for Oz.
A dimension of sight.
No.
A dimension of mind.
Dimension of sound.
Dimension of sound.
Are we talking about the sixth senses? I don't understand.
A dimension of fast food restaurants.
Oh my.
If we're Rick and Morty, there's infinite amount of dimensions.
Exactly. And no matter what, there's always going to be Fishbowl Facts.
Fishbowl.
I'll read mine while
Nicole
you
does
look up
research.
Serling's first choice for the narrator role was not himself, but Orson Welles.
Ooh, that would have been... No, the guy can turn out to be
The
a
voice of
dick, too.
Unicron?
No, Orson
was the voice of Unicron in Transformers the movie, which was his last role.
I always think of Orson Scott Card, another big name in sci-fi. He wrote Ender's Game.
I might have mentioned this
which
before.
Was not a good movie.
No, the novel series is really... The first book is actually really good.
I don't know. I was not a big fan of the first book.
But Orson
Ender's
Welles
Yeah.
had a talk show, and he interviewed Andy Kaufman. It's the worst thing to ever watch. Watch it on YouTube.
You need to pass this. He needs his fishbowl fact. Fishbowl fact.
Many actors have appeared multiple times on the program, but only one has a distinction of appearing in all 5 seasons. In total, Robert McCord appeared in 67 episodes.
Bob McCord?
Yes.
That
Most of
very
them
one.
as an extra.
Fishbowl.
Fishbowl facts.
I believe... Wasn't he on Adam 12?
I have no idea who this guy is.
I think he was.
I don't either. I don't even know what that is, that show.
All right, Nicole, read your fishbowl fact.
Sorry. Despite having 2 reboots in 1985 and 2002, The Twilight Zone only has 1 episode with a second part. The original series, Season 3 episode, It's a Good Life, was turned into a sequel in the 21st Century reboot. Cloris Leachman and Bill Mumy, M-U-M-Y?
Yes, Billy Mumy.
Bill Mumy reprised the respective roles of the mother and her mind-controlling son, making them the only 2 actors to appear in both the original and 2002 series.
Cool.
Fishbowl facts.
No, it's not the same person I'm thinking of, but he appeared in over 60 episodes of The Twilight Zone, more than anyone else, including Rod Serling, because he was an extra.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and Serling wasn't in the first season.
Yeah.
No, and he was mostly an uncredited extra when he was in it.
All right, I got a fishbowl fact.
Me too.
If you were an amateur writer in the 1960s or just a fan of the show, you could send in a script to be considered for an episode. In total, 14,000 scripts were sent in. Serling read about 500 of them, and absolutely none of them made it into an episode. Serling said only 2 were any good, but they didn't fit the format of the show. That's because they were about sports.
Fishbowl facts.
Fishbowl.
It's fine. Because you know what? William Shatner, William Nimoy, and George Takei of Star Trek fame all appeared in episodes of The Twilight Zone.
That's pretty cool.
Oh my.
Isn't it George Takei?
That's what I said.
That's what he said.
You said George Takei.
I said George Takei.
No, that's not what you
Replay the tape.
Chris, what did I say?
That's
George Takei.
You said it both. Look at that.
The phrase submitted for your approval that has become synonymous with the show was only uttered 3 times over the course of 5 seasons. Serling used a signature phrase in the introductions to the episodes, Cavender is coming, In Praise of Pip, and A Certain Kind of Stopwatch.
Oh, In Praise of Pip, that's such a good episode. Jack Klugman.
In 1997, the DC Looney Tunes comic book series published a parody of The Twilight Zone called The Looney Zone as funny takes on classic episodes. Fishbowl facts.
We should have watched that.
We should have watched that.
We should have watched the episode called It Makes the Plot Trivial.
That should be our episode
I actually
title.
think that is a great episode title.
That's what I thought it was.
That sounds
that should
like
be this episode's
The one
title.
time Faraz wrote a
And
quote
then
down and
people
it was
will have
true.
to listen and
But
find
yet
out
I think
what
he
the
does
episode's
something
about.
and it was Chris that put in a word that I couldn't pronounce.
Again, I like to shake it up.
Yeah. It's like payback for all the times that I said stupid crap and now we have a fishbowl.
That's right.
So anyway, there are 4 dimensions. Like if
Yeah,
you're looking
one
at a
is
cube,
the Nimoy, the
it's
Shatner,
the up,
the Takei,
down,
and
left,
the Takei.
right, forward, backwards, and then there's time. And then we're talking about the 5th dimension, which is what the Twilight Zone.
I thought
That's
it
the
was,
one that you can't see.
I thought it was soul, time, reality.
Power.
I'm trying to look it up, and that's what I'm.
What does
finding.
Doctor Strange say?
Time.
He
Time.
says,
Time.
Time.
he
He's
says
all
there's
about the
only one
iron
way to
out.
end this show, and I'm not telling you what it is.
Yep.
No, out of 14 million possible ways, there's
And
only
you know
one
what?
way
Yes,
to end
and
the
one
show.
way to end the
Alert.
show. And you know what? Every time, the label still gets a 6 from Chris.
That's right. Well, speaking of beer, let's do the ratings.
That's right. Hey, who knows the rating system?
Froz does.
Froz knows the rating
What's
system.
the rating system?
I know the rating system. This is true. Do I approve of the rating system? No, I do not.
Could you explain the
In
rating
case
system?
somebody's never heard this show before, could you tell them how the rating system works?
By the way, if you've never heard this show before, welcome. We're happy to have you listening.
Hi, Nicole's mom.
Hi, Nicole's mom.
I will reluctantly inform this person of the rating system.
It could be more than one person.
These peoples.
What do you mean by these people?
It could be 12 people.
I said peoples. I said peoples.
Wow, you really went there on the
It could be
Canadian.
12 people.
Yes.
Of all different races, creeds, and colors.
I said peoples.
And
I covered
religious
that.
backgrounds.
I did cover this.
Okay.
I respect my peoples.
And one really short guy.
Who's the
That's
short
for
guy?
us.
Not really classified as a dwarf, but not classified as a tall person. He's new,
Some
too.
might say he's Dinklage.
He's
I was just going to ask, is it Peter Dinklage?
No, he's like...
Is he a listener now?
He's like 5'3".
You know, my cousin knows him. Just
The guy, the 5'3" guy, the new listener?
Peter Dinklage.
Oh.
My cousin knows Peter Dinklage.
And yet you have not had him as a guest on the show yet.
No, because that's back in New York.
So
he's kind of busy, and I don't know the last time she's talked to him.
Oh, what if we do on-site shows?
We could go to New York.
Yeah, we could go.
Yes, let's go to New York.
Especially if we're going to get an interview with Peter Dinklage.
Okay, let's go to New York.
All right, next episode's on Peter Dinklage. Yes. Anyway, what's the rating system?
Even though traditionally one would do a 5-point scale, we here at Podcast 42 do a 6-point in reference to a 6-pack and drinkability out of said 6-pack.
Right, because it's a beer.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that this was implied by my continuous repetition of 6-pack.
So we brought a 6-pack
I thought it was
of
'cause
this.
You wanted a 6-pack.
Not my abdomen.
We brought a 6-pack of this Red Cypress Brewery Spook Hill Pale Ale. How many of these could you drink if you had the entire 6-pack to yourself? Christopher.
Well, at first I didn't like it. The more I drank it, it grew on me a little bit, but not so much.
Mm-hmm.
I think I will frame the label, and I'll leave it at a 3.
All right.
For
Just
a pale
hold on.
ale, it seemed a little hoppier than I was expecting.
So you only give it a 3 because of the label?
No.
He gave the label a 6.
I gave the label 6.
Right, so that didn't carry over to your drinkability.
It was a 3.
No, I understand that.
Everybody in the room got it, and the guy who's not quite small but not quite tall got it too. You're the only one who didn't get it. What do you rate it?
I'd actually give it a 6.
Really?
I like it a lot. I mean, it does have a really neat label, and it has the hoppiness that I look for in a beer that I want to drink. So yeah, I think that this might be my first 6. Is it my first 6?
I don't know. We'd have to go onto the site to look.
Yeah, if you want to look at our site, what's our website, Christopher?
Podcast42show.wordpress.com.
Yeah, and you can look at all of our previous beer ratings up until now.
Well, no, hold on. Let's go back here. I think that I can't give anything a 6. I think that there's a reason because I can't
Oh
drink
my
6 of
goodness
anything.
And he gave it a 6, and on that note, we're going to go to Nicole and ask her rating.
I will give it a 6 as well. I actually very much enjoyed this beer. It is a cool label, a cool can. It's got 35 IBU, and it is kind of hoppy, which is actually, it's pretty balanced flavor. So I could definitely pound 6 of these.
I'm sorry, JL. You probably should have replaced me with Gary this week.
No, it's okay.
Then you would have got a
because
perfect score.
I'm going to give it a 4.
Wow, really?
Wow.
I am, because it has a hoppy, dry taste to it, which is really nice, but I can't see myself sitting down drinking all 6 of them in one sitting. Very good. Gotta agree with Chris, the label's totally a 6. But drinkability-wise, good flavor, but totally going 4, because
Wow, I'm
I think
surprised.
I just get tired of it after a while.
I thought you were going to be mad at me.
No?
All right.
That sounded abusive. Like, not like you were abusive, just like I thought you were going to be mad.
I was trying
Yeah,
to
Like if
every
you were
time.
like you were an emotionally abused person.
You don't remember the first episodes when JL used to beat me after the beer?
I just remember you used to complain that
That
you
was
didn't
because
like
you
beers
didn't
that you
pay me
could
for the
chew.
beer.
Like you didn't like fork and knife beers. This is what I recall you complaining about.
Yeah, that's still a line I use today.
All I do is bring beer, and no thanks. It's okay.
No thanks. Thank you, JL.
You're thanked every week.
I know. At least I think I am.
Ecosia thanked you. Look at the bank account.
It's true.
Let's open up the email. What's in there?
Oh, we got emails?
All right. If anybody would like to email us and it's your first time listening or you've never emailed us before, our email address is podcast42show@gmail.com. You want to use the numbers 42 when you type out podcast42show. Our first email is from Sarah.
Wait. A put a note on there for you. There's another way to contact us now.
Well, I figured I would read the emails first, and then I would segue into the new form.
And guess what? You're segueing now into it.
I am now segueing into our newest...
Well, I just thought it would go together with the
our
two.
newest form of communication.
I never got into the segues.
They're hard
I
to
would
write.
love
Nicole
to do
hasn't
it.
either because she hasn't gotten to our new way yet.
Well, if you do not prefer to email and you prefer to be hip and cool and you want to text us, no, it's not tweeting. We don't have that.
Yes, we do.
We do. That's right. No,
we do.
That's right. We don't have an Instagram. That's right. We have
Yes, we do.
Oh,
You
God.
said you couldn't keep up with all
Oh, no,
of
we
these.
don't have an Instagram.
Thank you. See,
He
you're
just
trying.
got an Instagram, and we just started a Tumblr.
Do you want to do this?
Do we have
or
a
do you want me
Reddit?
to do this?
want
We're
you to
working
do
on
it.
that.
You want me to do it? Okay. Well, if you would like to text us, nice and easy, like you're texting any of your friends, like we're your friends, and you want to talk to us about something, our phone number is 321-926-5942. We're going to start putting that everywhere, including on our official Podcast 42 show Facebook page.
Wait, hold on. This isn't my phone number, is it?
Yes, it is. Can we make a jingle for that since it is Faraz's phone number?
So anybody can text this
Faraz.
phone number, and we will be happy to take any of your input and comments and thoughts and concerns. And
Concerns? Oh, I don't have time for all that.
well, you will now.
We're having a contest with the phone number. Anybody want to give Faraz a last name? Text us suggestions.
Anybody wants to go to dinner with Faraz? I mean, you'll have to go through me
'Cause
first,
Nicole's
but
tired
just
of
text
doing
this.
it.
No, I enjoy doing it. Don't you dare say
She
that.
enjoys doing it.
Hi, Nicole's
Hi,
mom.
Nicole's mom. So anyway, back to our emails.
We're going to high five like from across the room.
Sarah P. emailed us at podcast42show@gmail.com
Or she texted
saying, I would like to request an episode on Transformers.
Yes!
Not the toy,
Boo!
the animated series.
Yes!
Thank you. Love your show.
Can we at least reference the action figure line?
I don't know anything about it.
I think you would have
Pass.
to.
We are not talking about Michael Bay's movies.
It's
though.
for the whole toy line, so yes, it's the whole
They
point of
created the show for
Yeah,
the toy line.
Hasbro,
So
yeah.
yes, I want to do this show.
I was going to ask, which came first, the toys or the TV?
I want to see the toys and then the show.
But I think
could
they
be
created
wrong.
the show to advertise the toys,
believe
right?
They did that a lot. G.I. Joe was like that.
He-Man.
He-Man was
Conan.
like that.
He-Man
yeah.
and Conan.
Thundercats.
I'm going to call back to our episode today, The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone influenced the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror ride in Disney, and then Disney decided to test making movies based on their rides, and that's why they made the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror movie. Now, if you
Which they ended after the Tiki Room movie did not do so well.
But then everybody might remember that they made a Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
And then a Haunted Mansion, which sucked.
That sucked, but Pirates of the
Yeah, it
Caribbean
did.
movie was a
My
renowned
favorite
success.
Disney movie was The People Mover.
That was not a movie.
That was a good one.
No?
Honestly,
The
I thought-
People Mover.
I have to say the
Oh, it
Carousel
sounds
of
like a
Progress
thriller.
movie was quite good.
The People Mover.
Did you see the Carousel of Progress movie?
No.
It was really good.
Was that just called Life?
No. Because Ryan Reynolds would never do anything like that.
What was that, Future World?
No, it's present world
It's
now.
What was the one
Tomorrowland.
with George Clooney?
What was
Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Tomorrowland.
Was that
That's
good or
literally
not?
what it
I
was
don't know.
called.
Nobody watched it.
Was that based on Tomorrowland Disney?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. a
It
Disney
was?
one, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that
You
watching
need to
the
do your
trailers.
research.
No, I just figured it was coincidence.
No.
That's what I thought. I
if
thought
it was
just a
coincidence, they would have
tie-in.
gotten sued.
Why? Tomorrowland isn't
Are you sure?
copyrighted. It can't be. Is-
Wow. Wow, really? The two of you in sync. Wow.
NSYNC did a movie?
Yeah, they did, and I'm sure it was great.
No, actually, two of the members of NSYNC did a movie called On the Line, where Lance Bass was the star of the movie, and he was in love with a girl.
wonder
And
nobody
I mean,
saw
that's
it.
just so
I think
funny
she's referring
nowadays.
to Attack of the Clones because two NSYNC members, I think,
All right,
appeared
hey,
in Attack
do
of
we
the
have
Clones.
another email?
We have another email from hip1294529.
Wait,
What? What's
Can you
what's
say
his
that
name?
email again?
Or her name?
hip1294529.
Do we give out these email addresses online so people can like troll these people? What's going on right now?
I don't know what I'm being set up for. But these two are laughing so much.
You said it with such pep that made me laugh.
That's what it was, as long as it's not something about the number.
I'm sorry. I've contained myself. What was the email again?
I hate you guys.
But what was the email?
Hip hip 1294529.
There can't be that many hip hips.
This is almost as much laughing as Derpy. Derpy. Chris can't compose himself. If only you could see how red he is right now.
Do you know how many hip hips there are in the world? That hurts. Oh.
Hip hip, let's read this.
This is a long page break again. Go ahead.
Hip hip 1294529.
8675309.
That is not the number. Said, no soup for you. The Seinfeld episode was really good and fun, but I would like to see you guys do another one where you focus more on the episodes. Also, I love the Facebook group. Everyone join this thing. Seriously. So what's our Facebook group? What's the official page name? I'm going to look it up.
Hip hip 26464.
It's hip hip 1294529.
This person wants us to do an episode on Seinfeld episodes.
Yes. There
So
are
really, we
plenty
only have to do
talk
one
about.
episode, and we've covered the whole series.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did the.
We don't have to do
beginnings.
anything. There you go. Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. We're done.
I know you don't
It's
listen
a
to the
show
show. But we did the beginning of Seinfeld, how it came to be.
Right. I know. I read it.
Oh, you
I didn't listen, but I read it.
You read the script.
I read the script. I didn't
Okay.
read it.
Always
I read
good
the
to read the script because
I didn't
there's
listen to the
nothing extra in the show.
That builds up to this whole hour.
Right.
that
We
take
just
up.
do the straight script. We never put any
There's no
kind
ad
of
lib,
personality into it at all.
Or extra facts.
Oh,
That might
hip,
not
hip.
be facts. If you want to join this Facebook group that
official
hip hip
podcast
1294529 is talking about, it's the official podcast 42 group page. That entire title is how you're going to find us on Facebook.
How many members do we have right now?
Ooh, let's see.
You can't get it on your phone.
No, it
Last
says
I saw was like about 1,100 members.
it says 1,100 members right now. I can't see the exact number from my phone,
I think
but
it's pushing to 1,200.
that's amazing. We're happy to have every single person
And we
following our group, and we hope that all of you are listening to this podcast because
And
that's
we
what
really
keeps
are
us
very
going.
grateful. It's very exciting, and
Yeah.
just to see how it's grown.
Yes, it's cool.
It's really cool,
fun.
and we really appreciate every single one of you that listen to us and follow us on our group page.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of fun stuff that goes on in this page. A lot of inappropriate stuff, a lot of funny stuff, a lot of participating
Usually a lot of
things.
inappropriate funny stuff.
Hey, by the way, do any of you have a favorite Seinfeld episode? Just while this person is emailing us about
Really?
it?
We've talked about Seinfeld to death.
Fine, then we will talk about it another time.
How about your favorite Twilight Zone episode?
I have the Beholder.
One of the two that I saw.
I already said mine, which was The Intruders, which is, I think we can spoil it. But
I like the Tower of Terror.
Wait, I'm going to describe The Intruders.
That is my episode.
It's these little tiny, what you think are aliens attack this woman who's all by herself in a farmhouse. And then the twist is that the little tiny people are actually from Earth, and they're on an alien planet.
I don't get it.
The entire episode, you think that you're on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
The woman's on Earth being attacked by aliens.
Uh-huh.
But the twist is the little tiny people are actually Earthlings that have traveled to some other planet.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady's a giant.
And so she's the alien, quote,
Right.
quote.
Well, sort of.
So
it's her
kind-
planet,
it-
so technically she's not an alien, but you that's
But
where
it
the
was kind
twist
of like
comes
how
in.
in Eye of the Beholder, you thought like
Yes.
everybody else was normal and she was a weird one. Then you're like, well, she's normal and they're the weird ones, and that's kind of the whole.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a pattern. They need to come up with some more original things.
One guy wrote 167 episodes. What do you expect?
He needs to come up with more original themes.
I have 3 episodes.
Okay.
What are they?
Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, which we talked about.
Yes.
Great episode. It's a Good Life.
What's that one?
The one with Billy Mumi where he has the mind powers and he wishes them to the cornfield.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the whole town does his bidding because they're afraid of what he'll do to them. And then The Masks.
Which they also put in the movie.
I don't know, did they?
Yeah. That was in the movie.
It might have been.
I think so.
But The Masks.
With Jim Carrey?
No. Pluralize. Masks. It was the one where they're in New Orleans, the guy is dying, and he has masks for his family to put on. And they end up putting them on, and it changes their face to show their true selves. How they're ugly on the inside, but it didn't show on the outside until they put the masks on.
I didn't see that one.
That sounds great.
What's your favorite?
Listen, okay, here's the thing. I wanted to see more, and Nicole kept insisting that she's seen enough after Eye of the Beholder.
She watched 2 episodes.
It's true. I asked you if you wanted to watch another episode of Twilight Zone. You said no, you've seen enough.
Which is so weird because you love Black Mirror.
I love Black Mirror because it's relevant to now and the future of now. This is all science fiction, which is not necessarily
Wait, hold on. Black Mirror is science fiction.
Things.
Black Mirror is definitely science fiction.
It's science fiction based off of things that can happen with the development of technology that is currently in place. Like the Nosedive episode with all of the ratings and everything, and everybody's rating each other and stuff. Or the dating one where it's like, those things are all relevant to things that could...
You're looking at things from the present, where Twilight Zone came out in 1959.
Exactly, which is why I didn't care to watch it. I want to watch stuff that's relevant to now.
Yes, but without that, we might not have the things that we do now for them to put things in the forefront that could have happened.
I don't doubt that, but it doesn't mean
But you're not looking at it from a historical standpoint as how quintessential and influential this show really was.
You poo-pooed his topic, is what he's saying.
I'm sorry. I poo-pooed
your topic. What he's saying is this paved the way for those things like Black
Exactly.
Mirror.
Without the Twilight Zone, you don't have Black Mirror.
That's fine.
You don't have Lost. You don't have a lot of shows that you have come out in the past, 50 years that are...
But I can see her point, because she started with Black Mirror, so it's hard to go backwards.
I get what she's saying, but sometimes you should look at the starting point, and even though it might not be as technological or present
what if I give you
what it is,
what if I give you this
it
analogy?
Doesn't mean that it's not as...
Like Dune versus Star Wars. Dune paved the way for
What
Star
if I
Wars.
give you this analogy? I never read comic books. I never cared to read the comic books. I never watched the old school.
Neither have most people that have seen the Avengers movies today, but they still go and see them.
Exactly. I went to see the Avengers, and I enjoyed
They had to put Phil Coulson in the comics so people could feel as though they know what's going on in comics today.
All right, let her finish.
What I'm saying is, I didn't read comic books. I didn't care to watch the old school cartoons for all of these relevant superheroes that are featured in the Avengers. And I went to saw the movie, and I enjoyed the movie, and it may further my interest because of what I have now seen. It's hard to go backwards. It's hard to go backwards and appreciate what it was for some people. Because I can't live in the past.
Yeah, but
I'm going to live in the now, and I'm going to look at the future.
You both have a point.
So, with
but
that
they're
being
both
said, if
relevant
we're going
points,
to
though.
past animated
without,
series,
without sounding
you
like
need to watch
Switzerland.
Batman the Animated Series.
Without sounding like Switzerland.
I don't know who to listen to right now.
Me. Because...
He's the moderator.
He's Switzerland.
That JL was calling for before, the moderator.
But some people are like that. Some people, like me and JL, like if I start with Black Mirror, I would go back and do Twilight Zone because I want to know everything that happened. But some other people aren't like that. They just want what they started with. Kind of like a lot of diehard Marvel people are like, oh, now you like Iron Man. Now you're walking around wearing a T-shirt. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You started with the movies. That's fine. You don't have to know that Iron Man is secretly a drunk. And even a worse
really
character
should have touched upon.
Oh, they weren't going
one of
to.
the movies. They should have gone.
They
referenced
but there's nothing wrong with enjoying
the Demon
the
in
here
the
and
Bottle
now
storyline was
to
a
go
great
back.
storyline that they
You're
should have
fine.
hit on in one of the movies.
I'm on your side.
Thank you. He's pointing to me. He's on
I'm
my
not saying
side.
I'm not
That's
on
like
your
how
side.
I
I'm
accept
just
all
saying-
of you people for pretending to be Star Wars fans.
I never said I was a Star Wars fan. Just
because
for the record.
We don't know every tiny character's name does not make us not
I'm just
fans.
saying, doing
I'm just saying that I
research and
agree with
watching some of the
Chris
older
that I,
things is not a
I
bad thing.
accept you,
It's not
even
bad,
if
it's
you're an
a good
inferior fan.
I am an inferior fan.
We're all inferior fans compared to Faraz.
To be honest, I enjoy the culture of Star Wars much
I
more
thought you
than
were about to say cult. I really thought you were about to say
the culture of it much more than the actual movies.
Yes, I agree.
And the fact that Kylo Ren is a much better villain than Darth Vader
Oh,
ever could be.
wow.
I don't know if I can agree with
I
that.
don't know.
Really?
No,
Yes.
I feel like
he killed
I'm
his own
being.
father. What did Darth Vader ever do?
I feel like I'm being
He got
baited.
pissed.
He
and
killed
moaned
7
because his mother
children. He
died.
killed a bunch of children.
Darth Vader never
took
showed
out
his
any of
nipples.
kids.
Darth Vader never showed his nipples.
I
That
thought you
makes
said
him a
Tried to
better
convince
villain.
his son to go to the dark side. Never worked, and then it ended up being his undoing because he sided with his kids because his emotions got the better of him.
No.
Kylo
no,
Ren's
no, no, no.
distanced himself from his emotions that he could kill his father and now take over the
That's
First
like
Order.
that meme. Like Anakin never like calls Padme, but Kylo Ren's always calling Rey. You know, he's like the better.
He's just looking for a booty call
I wanted to root for Anakin. I did, but I just couldn't.
because you knew what was going to happen.
I knew what was going to happen, and it was just, he was just
Those
not.
younglings never had a chance.
He had a,
Oh,
he had
God.
a chance, and he did not take it.
Well, this sounds like material for a live show
Okay.
and not a Twilight Zone show.
Okay.
So we should do an episode based on like critiquing Anakin's life choices.
We can do that on the next live
We
show.
can do it on everything because you know what? We can do multiple topics on a live show.
Yeah, and if you want to participate in the live show, you can always call or text us at 321-926-5942. That's 321-926-5942.
Sounding very familiar to my phone number.
That's Faraz. I don't have a last name.
Hey. All right, so you can find us on Spreaker.
Yes.
We already mentioned the Facebook group.
Podcast 42
And we-
show official Facebook group.
And we already mentioned the email and the phone number. So I think we're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That puts the Twilight Zone into the casket,
the
so to
annals
speak.
of Podcast 42 history.
Into the fifth dimension.
Or is it the sixth dimension?
Ooh, I don't know.
And check out our Facebook group for any upcoming live shows.
Yay.
So, Mr. Last Name, Mr. No Last Name.
Bono,
What is
who
your
are
first
you?
name?
Faraz A.
That's Faraz A at gmail.com.
I'm Nicole Fasone.
Wait, hold on. Now we're doing this? Like, that's my own email address.
Yeah, it is. Except it's Faraz, FARAZEHHHH at
It's not
gmail.com.
It's not A-Y-Y-Y-Y.
No, it's
A.
A. He's
Thank you,
Canadian.
JL. You're right. Thank you.
That's right. He's Canadian A. Got it.
He's sponsored by Tim Hortons and Mr. Sub.
And I'm Christopher DeVos.
I'm JL Tros.
Bye.
Bye.
I've never been to a Mr. Sub. Have you?
Yeah.
Were they good?
Yeah.
When I,
Am
when
I
I was
more
growing up,
Canadian than you?
when I was growing up, Subway was actually up and coming.
How long
it was
was
like
that?
back during Subway.
You are no longer listening to Podcast 42.
Some of the stuff you just heard might have been embellished, made up, or just plain incorrect. In other words, don't use this show to write a book report with. You will get a bad grade. Just like all the hosts.
But I'm not done yet.
JL's Beer Cooler is written and performed by Cremo. Cremo is an award-winning actor and musician. For all things Cremo, including more great music, visit Cremo.com. That's spelled Craymo. He is on Twitter at Cremo. Facebook, just search Cremo Music, and also on YouTube under, you guessed it, Cremo.